Tell us a little bit about Global Agenda Seminar Series. You were one of the first participants of the first session series. How did you find it, and did it affect you in any way?
Yes, it
your
did.
Career or whatever?
Yes, it did. I guess the biggest thing that affected me was the encounter with attractive and inspiring people, including you and also the participants of the seminar.
Right.
So if I mention the specific name, Matsuo Rani-san, who was also the participant of the very first Global Agenda Seminar, was a great inspiration for me because of the way she discussed topics, and she was also very good at English, and the way she actively participated in each of the sessions was very inspiring, and I thought that, wow, what she is doing as a job must be very interesting and also good to develop people's skills.
I see.
So I got intrigued, and she was at the time working for one of the global consultancy. So I actually talked to her and, hey, what is your job like? How interesting is it? And that was one of the biggest reasons that I initially decided, that I eventually decided to move from the Bank of Japan to McKinsey.
I see. How long were you in Bank of Japan?
I was there for more than 8 years.
I see. How long were you at the McKinsey?
At around 3 years.
I see.
Right.
And now this is your second year, third year?
This
Or a
is
little bit longer?
our third year
I see.
at the European market.
That's interesting. Okay. One of the other topics that we want to discuss at the launch day during the breakout session is that what would you do if your job is lost tomorrow, if you lose your job tomorrow? Are you worried about how long you're going to be doing this job that you currently have and enjoy? Or are you sort of, well, if something happens, I'll find something else?
Well, if something happens, I'll find something else, I guess. Because I think that my mentality changed a great deal when I joined a consultancy. Because at a consulting firm, even if you are one of the members of this the firm, you are also one of the participants of this internal market. Because at a consultant firm, the client companies ask like several things to bring in several things to the consulting firm, and then the members of the firm raises their hands to like join one project or the other. So when you join a consultancy firm, even though you are a member of a firm, you are also a market participant within the firm, and you are constantly choosing the next project and the next project and the next project. So I guess when you change your job environment to something like that, your mentality changes a great deal, and you're constantly thinking about how I can contribute, what could be the project I could be working on the next time. So it just comes naturally. And from that time on, whether you have this firm constraint or not, the basic mentality of constantly thinking about what you can contribute to will be the same.
I see. What would your, well, it's very interesting because I think Bank of Japan is sort of the other extreme, so to speak. What would your colleague of Bank of Japan say to you?
Right.
If they know, what would you do now?
Right. Well, some of them do know, and they are very supportive. They are very nice to me. And whenever whenever we run a pop-up shop, one of the pop-up shop we did were actually right next to the Bank of Japan.
I see.
So Nihonbashi Mitsukoshi, which
Yes.
is right next to the
Yes.
Bank of Japan. So many of my former colleagues actually came visit me.
I see.
It was very fun experience.
Yeah.
But they, I think, find me very interesting.
I
And
see.
they seem very intrigued
Mm.
when I talk about what I currently do.
I see. That's quite amazing. Do you think your type of career, which is like, find something that you like and change, and including some parts which are constant, and the other part which changes, is that the kind of attitude or sort of personality qualifications that we're going to be needed in the future for everybody? Or do you think these are the kinds of things that some people may have but not quite required or needed for majority of people, given what's going on in the world?
That's a very interesting question. I'm not quite sure whether all of us should be like this. However, as the society changes
Yes.
due to the development of technology or some other factors, to some extent, the business structure must keep changing.
Yes.
Which means the job content of us, even though for not all of us,
Mm-hmm.
job contents for some of us
Yes.
indispensably
Mm.
needs to keep changing.
Mhm.
So for some of us, it could be very helpful,
Mm.
I would think.
I see. I think we often hear about this robots and AI. Is your kind of business going to be threatened by AI or robotics?
I would say that actually we are trying to benefit
I see.
to some extent, and we are trying to seek ways to utilize those technologies. Well, we are struggling, but it is a fact that great portion of what we do as
Yes.
a company could actually be done by robots if our technologies develops enough. For instance, some of the things that need to be done every day is just to put various ingredients into packages, which could be of course done by robots.
Right.
So we are hoping that we could utilize those technology more, and it would be great if our employees can focus on like more interesting or creative jobs. But right now, the reality is that we are struggling to find ways to utilize those technologies. But there are some small changes we have been making. For instance, it's a small thing, but for instance, if you are running a store, if you are managing a store, you need to make shifts for workers. And initially we were asking one by one, when would you like to work, what would be your constraints, but it's a huge waste of time because robots or computer can do it. So we just changed the system, and now each employees just input their working hours they would like to work through their smartphone, and then the manager just manages all those, and so it's a much quicker process. So little by little we are moving toward the state in which you're utilizing those technologies, but the move is slower than we hoped.
That's very interesting. Let me just change the subject a little bit. Other than the way the work is done, what are the sort of the future plans for your business?
Right. So right now, my first priority is to start and expand this new menu series, which we call Healthy Menu. The reason we started to think about this is because we read this book from Dr. Yusuke Tsugawa, who is now a assistant professor of UCLA.
Yes.
And we were quite inspired by his approach and also the very simple approach he recommends toward food and health. So basically what he did, what he has been doing is to go through most of the researches that has been done regarding food and health and find out what has been said consistently as opposed to recommending a specific research result or just trying to sell his own idea. So that was the approach we find very logical and also robust. So we find his approach very attractive, and also his definition of healthy food we found was very meaningful, we thought, because he focused on finding out foods that would reduce the risk of cancers, strokes, and heart attacks, which are the like top 3 or 4 death cause for the Japanese population. So he found out those food groups that would help you reduce the risk of those diseases. And we found it very significant that we would also like to follow his steps, and we would like to create menus that use those food and also delicious, so that we can help our customers sustain their health, even though they are enjoying the delicious food as opposed to something that are not tasty. So that is our number one focus right now at the end market, and we are launching those new menus probably at around toward the end of September. So this month. So our focus has been on this.
Okay, so we'll find the new menu at your place.
Yes.
What are these food?
So 5 ingredient groups are the ones Dr. Tsugawa found out to be healthy, and one is brown carbo, which are like brown rice or whole wheat.
Yes.
And another is vegetables and fruit that are considered to be one group. And another is fish.
Yes.
And olive oil and nuts. So those are the 5 food groups that have constantly been found out to reduce the risk of cancer, strokes, and heart attacks.
Okay, so that's something that we should keep in mind, right? And go to your place.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I think your career story is so interesting and very, very inspiring to us all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.